Welcome into BetOnline's Tee to Green. I'm Chantel McCabe, along with my co-host Keith Stewart, founder of Read the Line. So week after week, you drop the knowledge, and finally, the first major of the year, the Masters Tournament. Everybody's got it circled on the calendar, and that golf shop already has some pretty good stuff in there. People are anticipating this tournament for so many reasons, but a lot of great golf has happened so far, and people watching will know what's going on, but maybe people feeling that this is the kickoff to the golf season might not be as familiar. When you think about what's happened in 2023, give me some storylines that you have clung on to.
The storylines from 2022 were all about disruption.
Yes.
And we figured it out in 2023 because we have had some great drama on the golf course. I've been on the road, you've been on the road, we've been watching these players. 6 designated events so far. These guys know each other, and they know exactly what to expect from one another, and they know what to expect from Augusta National Golf Club. I cannot wait to get into this because these elevated, designated mini majors have been absolutely fantastic, and we've been winning on some of them, so I'm pretty excited about it.
And no disrespect to the 4 men's majors, but it has had the feeling of miniature majors because these designated events, I'm not going to lie, I was a little nervous how these would play out. Every single one of them has delivered so far, and it kicked off in Hawaii. Jon Rahm continuing the tear that he had, following up with the 2020 end of the calendar year with his DP World Tour win, also winning in his home country, Spain. He kept that storyline going, and he didn't stop there.
He didn't at all. I mean, he rattles off 3 wins in a row, and now we start mentioning his name with Tiger. And we had already given him the green jacket at the end of the Genesis when he pulled off win number 3. That being said, maybe pump the brakes a little bit because one Mr. Scotty Scheffler, number 1 in the world when we're bouncing back, he rattles off 2 wins. The venues have been great. The Genesis at Riviera, WMPO at TPC Scottsdale. How about API at Bay Hill? Of course, the Players' Championship there at Sawgrass. The best players at the best places. Chantel, I don't know if we could get any more excited. It's been 263 days since one Mr. Cam Smith grabbed that claret jug, snatched it, mind you, away from one Mr. Rory McIlroy. Those guys don't forget those things. And I think there's a lot of buildup coming towards Magnolia Lane this week, and I cannot wait to get into it with you.
Well, of course, the career Grand Slam is on the line once again for Rory McIlroy, and an opportunity for him to retake that top spot in the world. It's been a rotating door when it comes to Rory McIlroy, Jon Rahm, and Scotty Scheffler. All 3 of them have been at the top of the leaderboard and at the top of the official World Golf Ranking, which is a whole separate story when you bring Liv into the conversation, Tiger into the conversation. There is an action-packed scene about to take place on the grounds of Augusta National Golf Club. But when you think about the greatness of golf, I mean, the best in the world have risen to the occasion in these designated events and then beyond. You can throw in Kurt Kitayama as maybe the outlier when it comes to a first-time winner at an iconic venue in Bay Hill at one of the designated events. But outside of that, what does that say about the state of golf and what we are about to see, not just at the Masters, but for the rest of the year?
Well, the Masters is, I say this every year, it's the most predictive course on the PGA Tour. And why is that the case? Well, there's 5 quick reasons. 1, it's the golf course. It's the same place every year. We know what to expect. Number 2, it's the field. 52 of the same men that teed it up last year are doing it again this year. Best players at the best place in the world. Number 3, we know for a fact that they're going for that green jacket. There's a ton of pressure involved there. Number 4, the conditions. Right? It's the same time of year that we're going to tee it up there. And of course, the last element in all of that is that we know that the skill set required at Augusta National is all going to be the same. So these guys know what they're preparing for. We've seen them prepare. We're prepared, you and I, to get into this. And with all due respect to that big 3 or anyone else that you want to mention today, the star of this show and this week is the golf course. And that will determine our champion and who becomes the best actor for this movie this week.
Okay, so we're going to get into not just what the weather will look like, what the golf course conditions will be, and a certain change at Amen Corner, but the guy that a lot of people are anxious to see what he does in this walk around this iconic property is Tiger Woods, a guy who has plenty of green jackets in the closet already. This plantar fasciitis, though, we saw a lot of Tiger in the month of December and only one so far on the PGA Tour in terms of this calendar year. Did you expect him to play more than once before arriving to Augusta?
Well, let's be honest. It was like a Christmas gift multiple times that we saw him in December, and then he popped up at Riviera. And I kept thinking that he would do that, not just to promote his event, but to test himself. The golf at Riviera is a good comp course for Augusta National in a lot of ways. I thought I might see him again, but rumors are from his camp that there was a little bit of struggle with rehab following Genesis, 5 straight days of golf. Let's be honest, that's a lot of walking for somebody to do 90 holes in 5 days that hadn't played basically competitive golf since the Open Championship, which we referred to, which was, 10 months ago at this point. So I think that at the end of the day, Tiger knows exactly from the Genesis what he needs to do to compete at his highest level for 72 holes, and I think we're going to see a lot of that this week.
Let's now get into the weather because that is and always will be a factor. April showers always expected, certainly through the Georgia area, but this year we're expecting a little more rain than usual, at least we think. Last week got a ton of rain as the ladies faced in the Augusta National Women's Amateur, and more of the same this week. Hopefully the lightning stays away, but in a smaller field, at least we hope we can get in as much as we can to get things on pace. But in terms of what it does to the golf course, what are we looking at?
Well, going from Thursday night into Friday morning, round 1 into round 2, it looks like a front's going to move in. Best we can predict at this moment is that we're going to get an extensive amount of rain, upwards of 1 to 2 inches, in a 36-hole period from, let's say, 8 p.m. on Thursday night until, almost into Sunday midday. So maybe even 48 hours worth of rain. It takes me back to 2019. The golf course is going to play longer. It's going to play way more strategic. So it almost begs, if you're good at Augusta National, you're going to be even better. Mm-hmm. If you're long and you hit the ball high, the flight of the ball to apex is great, like a Rory. It's going to play into your hands. It's definitely not going to be one of those places where there's going to be a lot of roll and using of the ground. Time will tell how the weather truly plays out, but it's also going to get cooler over the weekend. Ball might not travel as far as it was. So the things that we've outlined already, and I don't want to be redundant because we got to get to some names here, but the weather is going to impact it, and it's definitely, the golf course is always going to be the lead actor, but best supporting, it's going to play a part.
The weather is always the game changer, quite literally. All right, I got to flip over the notebook because you want to name some names, and that's what people really tune into here. So let's kick things off. We mentioned it right at the top. Scottie Scheffler, the defending champion. It still feels like he's underrated. I mean, I can't even wrap my mind around it, but it still feels like people don't give him the respect that he deserves, even though he's already won multiple times this year.
I love that you brought that up because it's totally the case. He's always the forgotten man of the top 3. There's the Rory story and the career Grand Slam. There's Rahm and his ability, all the top 10s he's had at Augusta and everything. But then, Scottie's the one holding the green jacket currently. So statistically, nobody hits the ball better. He's actually putting not nearly as good as he was last year statistically in Q1, but guess what? He at the same time, right? He's still winning tournaments. His worst finish of the year in 7 starts is 12th, and he's only finished outside the top 10 twice. I don't know how you can get away from this guy being the odds-on favorite, but you know what, though? Where his odds sit right now at plus 800, I would love for people to get emotional about Rahm, and I would love for them to get sentimental about Rory. And I would love to see those odds jump up into the double digits, maybe plus 1,000, plus 1,100, because I would pounce on them like you wouldn't believe for Scottie Scheffler, because he's got everything you need. High ball hitter with the irons, bombs it off the tee, and super creative and clutch with the short game. So I do love Scottie here. Why wouldn't I love Scottie? Did you know that nobody that's won since 2007 has even finished in the top 10 as a defender? How about that, right?
Yes. You know what? I do have memories of that, but that was out of my memory because in 28 starts since that first win, dating back to last year, 6 wins, 16 top 10s. And so the form is clearly there. And one other thing to note in terms of gathering all of the things we spoke about previously is the fact that Ted Scott on the bag, who's already now a part of the reason for 3 green jackets, if you include Bubba Watson. That guy has course knowledge that is not just elite, but very valuable for this week. And the fact that, as we outlined, Scottie Scheffler still seemingly under the radar, I think he likes to be there. So this could be actually working right into his favor for an increase in the trophy collection. And maybe he has to do some renovations to the house to fit a few more in there. Let's now get to Jon Rahm, because another guy who is not getting as much attention as maybe he needs to deserve, and he's only a couple years removed from a major championship win, that being at Torrey Pines, his one and only. So is this the time he gets another?
All signs point towards Jon Rahm being a contender this week. He's had 3 wins already this year. He's playing well. Where do I find weaknesses in Jon Rahm's game? Because there aren't many of them. Do you know that he's statistically putting it better than he's driving the golf ball? When I think of Jon Rahm, I think of it just an absolutely generational driver of the golf ball. And he's actually not hitting the ball off the tee like he normally does. That sets him up for the type of success
I
as
know
an
because
iron
I
player.
followed him at Arnold Palmer, and it was messy in that department. So I got a front row seat. So this has not surprised me, but I'm sure people at home are like thinking you get your facts wrong here.
So I started to dig into that a little bit more. And when you look at John's history at Augusta National, when it comes to Sunday or starting the final round, he's never been within 6 shots of the lead. So we think about all of those starts that he's had at Augusta National. We think about the fact that he always makes the cut. We think about that he's had a bunch of top 10s, but really those have been all backdoor top 10s.
Yes.
So I'm not sure that he's actually the contender that we think he is, even with the 3 wins. Now, Rory, on the other hand, I think there's really a story behind Rory this year. I definitely think there is. 9 years he's been going for the career Grand Slam, Chantel. It's going to play long. He's obviously got the driver fine-tuned. I was at Austin Country Club, really, really difficult golf course to drive the golf ball on. Very tight. He just pulled out driver with reckless abandon, and he just striped it, hole after hole after hole. I really like where Rory's game is. A little bit of a weakness with the putter, but we've known that. Is the pressure of the green jacket too much for him? It seems like it has been for the last 9 years. But overall, I think the best contender to Scotty is Rory out of the big 3.
Wow. Okay, I'm baffled by that because Rory, as we outlined and spent so much time on these designated events, hasn't won one of those. And so his last win dating back to the fall, and that was a new golf course for everyone. So I almost want to throw that one away in terms of looking at his form and willingness to cross the finish line. Brad Faxon, obviously one of the most consistent putters in the game over the course of his PGA Tour career, working very closely with Rory. Now that he's got the driver sorted out, there was a big debacle for a couple of weeks as to what he was using, how he was using it, but that is settled. But still, to me, the mystery, and I know putting isn't the most particular thing you need to be focused on when it comes to who's in contention and who could pull off a green jacket. But for Rory, I'm cold on that. So we'll move on to some more names. Jordan Spieth is somebody who a lot of people are getting excited about. For you, does he make or move this situation?
I think with good reason they should be excited. Does he have the goods to go get the green jacket this year? When it comes to around the green play, there's nobody better with a wedge in the world. We know that. And when it comes to chipping in or just hitting spectacular short game shots, Jordan Spieth is the man.
And I'm going to stop you right there because even with his win last year when he missed the cut at the Masters and went on to win the following week at the RBC Heritage, baby in tow, which was awesome. I mean, the guy was still unbelievably 3-putting, and it was hard and awful to watch, but that short game just has never disappeared. I mean, it really is a magical thing to see. So to your point, that is as sharp as ever.
Heading into Augusta last year, he was hitting the ball as good as he'd ever hit it from tee to green. So exclude the putter. The driver was much improved. The approach play was off the charts going in, and he missed the cut. The fact of the matter is with Jordan, which makes me not want to put the green jacket on him right now while we're filming this show, is that he's only had, in the last 3 years, he's had 1 round in the 60s. So, like, that to me, you're going to have to do a little bit better. Especially, it seems like this week, if things are going to be wet and it's going to be very target-oriented, that score is probably going to be more than the general 9 to 10 to 11 under par. It might leak into the mid-teens. And does he have the firepower to do that currently where he's at in his game? Like those first 3 we mentioned, I'm not sure he keeps up.
Yeah, I'm a little cold when it comes to Jordan Spieth, albeit I think he's certainly going to make the weekend. But beyond that, I think a top 20 is in sight, but we'll see how he handles the rest. Let's pop back and forth with a few more names so we don't get into too much minutia. Max Homa, somebody who had a great stretch of golf to kick off this year, and we haven't heard his name quite as much now, but some of the comp courses he has played outstanding at. So what do you think Max Homa fits into the equation?
Definitely one of those guys on approach play. He's one of the leaders on the PGA Tour, ball striker. He's definitely a great scrambler. So, we haven't mentioned this yet, but bogey avoidance is part of the whole around the green skill set.
Right.
I love him there. Not sure driver of the golf ball and putter of the golf ball that he's able to keep up with some of these bigger guns, but Max has definitely accepted his kind of new next level status on the PGA Tour.
His position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part for these guys is to
Huge.
embrace the fact that, you're now in and out of the top 10 rankings in the world. I mean, that's a big deal to somebody who, like 3 or 4 years ago, was playing for food. So at the end of the day, I think Max is a name worth mentioning. Is this his time at Augusta? No. But a couple majors down the road, when we're doing a show or two later, I believe we're going to be much more focused on Max.
Agreed, 100%. And kind of the building blocks for him, as you said, it was only a few years back where he felt uncomfortable beside Rory McIlroy on the driving range and did not want to even be playing in tournaments because he was that uncomfortable and unconfident. And you've seen it grow. Even his swagger on the golf course. It's been fun to watch his rise to the top 10 in the world. Oh, wait.
Okay.
I want to get into a couple more here.
No, I was going to throw one at you.
Okay.
Your pick last year, JT.
I know.
No one's talking about him. Why not? Give me Justin Thomas breakdown.
Oh, rightfully so. Well, there's been some weaknesses in his game, and he admitted that he is not as confident as he's ever been. And their short game has been totally lacking. When you talk about the long irons, that is something that usually, time after time, we see highlight reels of Justin Thomas, and it hasn't been there.
High ball hitter.
Yes. I'm nervous about putting him anywhere in the conversation when it comes to the Masters. I need to see more from him this week before then I might get hot on him later, maybe for another major championship down the road. I'm not quite yet ready to give him the Wanamaker Trophy or anything else, but we will see what happens with JT. I need an assessment this week, but a couple of other guys looking for their first major championship. It's so weird to still say this out loud in 2023. Patrick Cantlay, Xander Schauffele, where are they for you?
Well, Xander is definitely somebody I have my eye on. He's a very good fit for the skill set at Augusta National. But let's talk about Patrick first.
Okay.
Patrick Cantlay should be able to win anywhere. But yet when it comes to major championships, he just doesn't seem to break through that top 10 range. And as a result, I have concerns there. When he was just steamrolling people at the match play a couple weeks ago, and I watched some of his matches, like hole by hole, walking with him, and then next thing you know, he just loses a match. I'm like, well, how did that happen? It just didn't seem like all of a sudden Sam Burns was going to pop up, because the ball striking numbers for Patrick were far ahead of Sam in the quarterfinals there, and it just didn't work out. So, at the end of the day, I think that, Patrick hasn't proven to me yet in a major. He's only had a couple top 10s and, basically in his major career. Xander, on the other hand, Xander's been around the block, okay? He has been in contention in a lot of majors, and he's been in the top, 5 in 3 of his Masters appearances. So he's definitely one of those names I would have my eye on. Yeah, for sure. Of the two of them, I'm all over X, and Cantlay the Iceman needs to get a little hotter.
Okay, sit on that thought for a moment. I'm going to throw a few more at you. Got to talk about some live players in Cam Smith, Dustin Johnson, a Masters champion. These are major champions that are making their way to Augusta National. Whatever tour that they play on, they are playing 54 holes, shotgun start. So a lot of people talking about too casual of a nature to keep your game sharp. Brooks Koepka winning in Orlando, Florida just a week ago. So when you think of some of those names, several green jackets in the mix, where do they stand in terms of your expectations?
This is a really, really tough thing to predict. These guys have only played 6 times since the last major, which we said was over 260 days ago. It's very difficult. I mean, Brooks has won 2 of those live events, but let's be honest. The golf courses aren't nearly as difficult as what the guys are facing in these designated events, and the competition is not what it is in these designated events. We're talking about 23, 24 of the top 25 in the world are teeing it up at API and at the Players, and there's maybe 2 or 3 in the top 50 in the world that are going to these live events, and the numbers that they're putting up haven't been that strong. So do I think somebody like Cam Smith, who's a top 10 iron player in the world no matter what, and definitely a top 5 around the green and putter guy, do I think he could contend this week? Yes, but I don't have anything to base that on.
Yeah.
So that's a difficult stretch for me to make in order to grab that. Do I think DJ, if everyone in the world is playing their best golf, DJ's at the next level like a Rory, right? They can't be touched, but I'm not sure that DJ's really touching the range all that often lately. I mean, it's tough to say. He's had some good finishes in live, but again, the quality of the talent there isn't nearly as thick as it is and as dense as it is on the PGA Tour. And, Brooks is interesting, but I don't have much to say, because when it comes to live, the model so far doesn't have any proof behind the pudding.
Yeah, and I know that there are plenty of golf fans that are interested to see how these players perform, and albeit the media certainly likes to talk up the fact that these guys are done, they're at the end of their careers, which is why they went to live. Those 3 players that we've mentioned have certainly earned their way. Brooks Koepka is interesting to me because I feel like if you've watched the Full Swing series on Netflix, you know that this guy was in a very, very damaged place. Likely why he decided to play for LIV. I wonder when he is healthy, and this guy, the way he performs in majors, he never wanted to play in the other PGA Tour events. So I am curious how this is the litmus test for the first time. Everybody's back together, group hug, or maybe not. What this could tell us about the form of these guys and if there really is a need for form. I mean, Tiger Woods just rolling up and winning a couple of years ago, this very tournament, even though he was injured back then too. So I know he's in a different level, but I have to wonder the attitude of some of these guys, including DJ. He can roll up and win any given week. I don't care if he's playing 54 holes or not. I'm not comfortable putting them in a green jacket myself yet, but I do think that they are going to play above expectations. All right, now I'm going to throw just several more names at you. You just pick and choose what you like here. Justin Rose, who won in Pebble Beach in rainy conditions. Will Zalatoris, who nearly has won multiple majors and has, once again, the last time we saw him on the United States soil in a major, came oh so close. Tony Finau, we haven't even talked about. Tommy Fleetwood, who almost won in Florida. Where do you think those guys mix in?
I'm going to go down that Netflix Full Swing road, and I love the episode with Tony Finau. The family man. His wife was truly she was the best actress of that episode.
Elena is the show.
She was that episode. But if we're not talking about Rahm, Rory, and Scotty, the best ball striker week after week is Tony Finau. Mm-hmm. Not many other people. Only Rahm has 3 wins on the PGA Tour since the last major. Tony Finau has 3 wins on the PGA Tour since the last major. And if you look at Houston, his last win, we're talking about second shot golf course. Tony's ball striking on approach hasn't been out of the top 17 players in the field for every event since. And he's got a bunch of starts there all year. The guy strikes his irons unbelievably. And I was reading up on Tony because I was very interested on where kind of my sentiment was going to go on him this week. And he says his favorite part about Augusta National is that it allows him to be creative. He feels he's a creative person. It allows him to be creative with shot shaping close to the green.
Okay.
So a guy that is already thinking about embracing those types of shots or approach shots and how he can curve them in, flight them in order to hit them properly. And we know he's got enough power,
yes.
Chantel. I mean, he's got the pop in the big stick in order to compete. So definitely Finau I'm high on. One name you didn't mention there, I'm going to go down under. I mean, I know you went to Cam Smith, but Jay Day, he's had a great spring.
Yep.
You can't deny it. And he's done the types of things that future Master winners do as they lead up to Augusta National, and that's they have a bunch of top 10s. They're striking the ball great. They're rolling the ball great. He hits his irons super high. Jay Day is a great fit here for this. Zalatoris gives me pause.
Me too.
But you got something.
I was going to say that I don't remember any major last year where it was so difficult because so many guys you could justify for different reasons. And of course, when you're evaluating a field and you're looking at what the odds makers put out, there's always going to be justification one way or the other. But this time in particular with these designated events, I think has played into what will be a peak of what we've seen in the last handful of major championships. All right, now we're going to get to the quick 9. I'm just going to rapid fire. Don't even have time to think. Don't have time to look at your notes. It's go time.
Oh boy.
And I'm not even going to comment. I'm just going to let you go. You are the guru.
All right.
Starting off, Tiger making or missing the cut for the weekend. What's he do?
Tiger makes the cut.
Okay.
22 straight years as a professional, he's made the cut.
Yes.
End of story.
Including last year when that was his first time back. All right, Tiger finishing in a position 42nd or better. Where do you stand there?
Tiger, yes. He finishes top 42 or better. I'll take the under.
We're eye to eye there. Okay, now we're getting into some good ones. Live player to make the cut as a total 11. Will that happen?
They're unproven. They've only played 3 times this year. I'm going to take the under. I say 10 or less make the cut.
I think you'll have a lot of company there. All right, next up, region of the winner from the U.S., from Europe, or the rest of the world. That could include Jason Day.
Ooh, all right, where are they going there? Okay, so the Europe winner is Rahm or Rory covered. The rest of the world is, like you mentioned, Cam Smith, Jay Day, Hideki, Sung Jae.
Good call.
Could be. So I'm going against there. Or the U.S. is 12 of the 16 favorites. So it's probably not plus money, but I'll take my chances with that. Okay. I'll go USA.
All right.
I'll be a homer.
Red, white, and blue is a safe play there. How about a top 20 finish? Who you got?
Let's go right back to Texas.
Okay.
My man Corey Connors, his last 3 starts there have been top 10s. What, top 10, top 8, top 6 in his last 3 starts of the Masters? You going to give me plus money on that? Then I'm definitely taking Corey Connors as a best bet in the top 20.
I love that too.
Fresh off a win.
Exactly. His second win at the Valero Texas Open. It came close, but he got it done. Number of players finishing under par. We need 29. Is that possible?
I'm going to take the under.
Okay.
Even though I think the scoring will be great, that's a huge number for me. I'm going to go with the under.
All right, we'll move on to the next one. Round 1, top 10 finish. What do you think?
Oh, the top 10 king for first round starts there. The first round leader that I love. Everybody talks about the azaleas. How about my boy Justin Rose? He has 4 first round leaders in his career there. The most recent one was 2021. I'm going to take him as top 10 for sure. I guarantee I can get some decent plus money on him. I'm taking Justin Rose. If you want to pick for a first round leader in the top 10, that's the one.
Oh, that's a prop I like to stay away from. I have no idea. It could be anyone. Round 1, that doesn't tell you anything. How about a top 5 finish lock? Who is it?
Scotty. Done. Next question.
Love it. Okay. This is the futures here. Winning a major in 2023, who are you guaranteeing that happens?
I'm going to go with the most logical choice, and it's not Scotty, but I'm going to go with Rory.
Logical.
Right?
Okay.
Well, he's definitely going to be a favorite, probably at all 4 of them, if not 3 of the 4. He finished top 8 in all 4 majors last year. Scotty missed the cut in one of the majors. So I'm going to go statistically with my best chance in order to win. I think it's we're probably in the plus 250, plus 300 range in order to get Rory to win a major. I'm going to go Rory.
Oh, boy. Okay. We're done with the quick 9. Took a little longer than we anticipated, but now we move into the real names, the names you circle, the names you throw some money on, and we'll start off. How about an underdog?
Oh, we're going to go underdog first?
We're going to save the grand finale for the grand finale.
All right, we just touched upon him. Further down the board, the only guy I think that can compete that's outside of that middle tier is Justin Rose. He's got a great history there. 15 different Masters that he's made the cut out of 17. 13 of those, he's had the top 25. He's had 4 times where he was a first-round leader. He lost in a playoff to Sergio in 2017. I look down the board, and he's really the only guy that has the win equity in a major. He's already won this year. He's had the spring to prove that he's in great recent form. I'm going to go Justin Rose at plus 7,500.
Okay, this is maybe not quite a long shot, but Jason Day, and it's crazy that literally last month he wasn't even in the field. So that's how much he's climbed his way up the totem pole in terms of maybe perhaps eventually getting to number 1 player in the world. That's been his target. He's been legitimately talking about that, working with Chris Como, and Chris Como does not lie. The fact that he has been seeing as much progress as he has from his pupil is extremely impressive. His best finish at this tournament was ironically in his debut. That was all the way back 2010. I mean, Jason Day at 35 years has been playing at Augusta National since 2010. Only, and I say that in air quotes, 4 top 10 finishes at the Masters tournament, but I do think that cruise control period from 2013 to 2016 tells us a lot about how he can play this golf course when that iron game, and certainly when that short game is at its best, and it could perhaps be the best it's ever been with wedge in hand and a putter for Jason Day. So in 7 starts so far this season, his worst was tied for 19th at the Players' Championship, and perhaps you could blame that on the fact that the waves there are particularly lethal if you get in the wrong one. So for Jason Day, I'm going to put a little money on him because what we're seeing, the trending happening with a former number 1 player, I like what I see.
Yeah, I love Jay Day, and you're right. The guy was a long shot, certainly by December. His stock has steadily fallen, or his odds have fallen, his stock has risen. I love that pick.
Let's move on to a mid-tier. You got a mid-tier guy?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Tony Finau.
I had a feeling you'd go there.
It's time. And I am not a sentimental person, right? I love cash. And this guy is the type of guy that's striking the ball good enough that he can get Augusta Green, not only in the jacket, but in the prize money and everything. He has the game that is suited to that golf course. You have got to pay attention to what's going on. It's the most predictive golf course on the PGA Tour. He is a bomber. He is a great iron player. His statistics with his irons since the last major championship, there are a few players in the field that are as good as him. He's played there 5 times. He's made 5 cuts. He's contended before, and most importantly, in 2019, when he walked side by side with Tiger and he watched what Tiger did, taking apart the field on that back 9 on Sunday, Tony now has that knowledge, and Full Swing has proven it, that he is really, really comfortable with his game. I think he breaks through. He's my middle tier guy.
Okay, for me is Xander Schauffele, because even though it's kind of crazy, I've been covering golf for years now, and I still have a trouble literally writing out his name. 2 F's, by the way, not 2 L's is how I tend to do it. But last year, of course, thanks to his buddy Patrick Cantlay, them winning the Zurich Classic might have seemed trivial, meaningless. But the fact that he went on to rattle off 2 wins after that, Travelers going toe-to-toe with Sahith Theegala down the stretch, and then ultimately the real test came at the Scottish Open, where he won in a very stacked field ahead of the Open Championship. But what he was doing for those 3 seasons, where every major you could count him in, and more likely than not one of the favorites, I think there's just this feeling that it is his time, and especially around this property, what he's able to do and the precise nature of his play. He's finally settled on a putter that he really likes, a combination of his last 2. And so with all of that combined, I'm feeling this is a week that something special could happen for Xander Schauffele. Now for the outright. You ready? We're just going to go into it. Give me the name.
Scotty Scheffler. Sorry. I mean, I know the odds aren't what we want, folks, but at the end of the day, it's all about winning. And this is big game hunting right here, folks. And there is no bigger big game hunter than our man Scotty Scheffler these days. Straight out of Texas and right into your living room come Sunday evening. Forget the fact that we haven't had a repeat champion in, 20 years. Tiger, the last one to do it, 01, 02. There's only been 2 other guys to do it as well. Faldo, 89 and 90, and of course Jack in 65 and 66. Scotty has the talent and is on the roll to defend at Augusta National. I run out of superlatives. He's ranked in the top 5 in every major category of ball striking, bogey avoidance, birdie or better, par 4 scoring, tee to green, everything. If he's not number 1, he's 2 or 3. You can't find a flaw in his game right now. His putting is down, but it's not bad. It's still above the field average. There's nothing you can say, and he seems unflappable. And what kills you is that he flies under the radar. No one ever bothers him. The media never picks on him. He never has anything that seems like they could throw him off. So for me, if we're talking about the biggest event of the year so far, I got to go with the biggest player who's playing the best.
Fairly said, and part of the Drive, Chip, and Putt initiatives, and had talked about what it's like a year later and absorbing what all the responsibilities are when you return to property. So he's taken care of that, got onto property early to make sure some of those minute details are sorted out before this tournament begins, because I bet there is just nothing like returning as defending champion at the Masters tournament. I cannot believe I'm saying this out loud, but my outright pick is a live player. And I might really kick myself for this, because this is a total, you want to talk about gambling, this is a total gamble. Cam Smith, which I know is probably the hottest pick of any of the live players, and I do need to look this up because there is no shot link when it comes to live. So we are just rolling the dice when it comes to the data that we have. Tied for 5th at Mayakoba, the season kickoff for the Live Tour, and tied for 21st at Tucson. Didn't have his best stuff in Orlando, but you go back to the chip on the shoulder. I mean, he came so close to winning before what ultimately took his name at Amen Corner, and a big splash. And I just have a frame in my mind of the reaction on his face when that happened in the final round, and ultimately surrendering the tournament to Scotty Scheffler and, quite frankly, Rory McIlroy. And the only hesitation I have is the golf gods have a funny way of doing things, and with Greg Norman spearheading Live, and we know his history at Augusta National, this could be kicking me in the butt. But the fact that we are not giving enough credit to the Open champion winner, and a guy who not only has a chip on his shoulder, he has all the tools, and when he is putting, I know it's not the most important thing, I think he might have eyes for the hole, and that hole might be massive compared to some of the other tournaments. He gets up to play. It doesn't matter where he's at. Before last year, I mean, most of his wins came with his teammate and partner, Mark Leishman, in the Zurich Classic. So it's funny that when he's found his form, he has absolutely risen to the occasion. The Players' Champion, he didn't get to defend, and I know, being a guy who lives in the Jacksonville area, that got under his skin. So this is his time to shine, and I would love to see how he handles the pressure. I'm either going to really love myself by the end of the week or really question any of my golf knowledge, and Sunday will tell.
I tell you, I do like that pick, and here's why. If it wasn't for the fact that he did know he was going to go to Live, he kind of mailed in the end of the year. And I think he could have easily been the player of the year, or at least made a run at Scotty to be the player of the year with his 4 wins in a major. Cam with the Players and a major, and maybe another win in the playoffs if he wasn't just kind of going through the motions and making his way to Live. There's not a doubt in my mind that he's a big game fisherman. But man, he definitely comes back with a big catch, and he's one of those people that I have my eye on for sure. And that's why in-play betting is so much fun.
I am reeling that one in. 6 starts, 4 top 10s at that property. All right, I'm gonna just end with a fun one here. I was on site. I got to try the Georgia peach sandwich.
Ooh.
Ice cream sandwich, that is.
Okay.
So if you had pimento cheese, classic chicken salad, egg salad, or the ice cream sandwich, what would be the first way you go?
I'm going to go with the ice cream sandwich because none of those other things even remotely sound delectable to me.
Well, we know that you do not have the palate for the Southern cuisine in that case because pimento cheese, #1 seller year after year, and for good reason. We will be back with more next week as we wrap up what happened in the Masters tournament and deliver what's about to take place at the RBC Heritage. But the first major of the year, so excited. Thanks for tuning in to Bet Online's Tee to Green, where the game starts.